All right, what's up, guys? I'm here with Trevor from MotionAutoTV and my buddy Morgan. He has a Bug-Eye WRX in Sonic Yellow.
Sonic Yellow.
It's pretty sweet, and he has way too many cars for me to count, so yeah. Unfortunately, we are taking Trevor back home.
Yeah, I was here for the FD Atlanta event, so I was able to go check that out. One of the local guys from Colorado was competing in the Pro 2, so came to check out that. And kind of two-bird stone. It was nice David was here. I just moved in. And
yeah, it was perfecto.
Yeah, exactly. As far as like the spectator view, I'd say FD Atlanta is
you can see everything from everywhere, which is like the best thing about it. And have you gone to any other ones, Morgan?
I went to the one at Road Atlanta last year, but they didn't do half the stuff they did this year. Like,
really?
The day after drift they're doing today, all the drifters are doing like a
grassroots kind of thing.
Like they're all just going out and having fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They didn't do that last year.
So what got you into cars, Trevor?
Oh man, that's
I
a
know.
long story.
That's why I'm asking.
That's a really long story. Basically, anything with a motor. Like when I was young, me and my brother would absolutely just argue over who got to mow the lawn, you know, because it had an engine and wheels on it, and I just anything like that. So my dad, he was always working on cars, but he was never doing anything cool with them. You know, he was doing brake jobs and, you know,
AC units and all that
stuff like that, and just basic maintenance, you know, for the neighbors and stuff. And he was a mechanic. He worked, I believe it was a Sears at the time.
Oh, okay.
And but yeah, so I'd always, you know, be riding my bicycle up and down the street and trying to take it apart and, you know, change the tires and do a bunch of random stuff to it. And then I got into the little RC trucks, like the Nitro RCs.
Yeah.
And would take those apart and put them all back together and break them, and, you know, put them back together and break them. One day, you know, it was kind of when I learned about engines and what you're not supposed to do with them.
Yeah.
My dog was chasing the RC around the yard, picked it up, and like flicked off the air filter. And I was doing like a donut, like running away from the dog, and it sucked in a bunch of dirt and seized up the engine in it.
Oh wow, and you learned real quick that motors don't like dirt.
Yep, learned real quick how expensive they were, you know, because back then like one of those engines was like 150.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it's a much bigger hobby now, so it's not as expensive, but back then I'm sure it was a lot.
Yeah, I know, and I remember just waiting for like months to like save up to buy an engine for my little RC car.
That was like that big.
Yeah. And yeah, so I learned real quick on those dirt bikes, four-wheelers, but pretty much ever since I was just a little kid. I mean, I was obsessed with anything with an engine, and I just wanted it. I asked everybody to drive their car.
Yeah, it's funny because like if people ask me how to describe my YouTube channel, I say mine's definitely more car emotionally based, and then they're like, what about mechanics? I'm like, go to this guy. Yeah. Almost always. I mean, you have the 2J VVTi S14, which has unfortunately been throwing belts. And can you elaborate?
Yeah, so last week we went out to the Vegas Pro-Am series. So should I kind of talk about the FD?
Yeah.
And how, like, so to get to like the Formula Drift, like the professional level, like the steps that you have to get to there.
It's insane.
Yeah. So you have to start out in like a grassroots, you know, kind of, you know, your local drift events and stuff. But then you have to go to a Formula Drift, like sanctioned Pro-Am series that is like approved to give you your license. So normally those events have between, you know, 4 to 7 events throughout the season. So you have to go there, you know, with pretty much everybody, you know, that's a really good driving caliber, and you have to get top 3 in the points for the year to get your Pro 2 license. Yeah. So then you come out here, you know, to these, and I think there's only 4 Pro 2 events.
There's not a lot, because like when you were talking about Pro 2, I'm like, Pro 2? Like, I didn't really know what it was, and we actually saw somebody succeed and compete with the pros, which is really cool.
That was the first time I did Pro 2 at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, which is awesome. But in order to, because before you used to be able to get top 3 in your series, like your Pro-Am series, like mine is like the Southwest Drift Series is the closest one to me, or the Lone Star Drift Series. But so you have to get top 3 in that, and then you could go directly to pro. But within the last 2 years, they switched it up, so you get top 3 in that, and now you go to pro 2. So there's an in-between step.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's guys like me that could, you know, kind of squeeze by and get their
enough.
Get their pro, you know, their pro license essentially back then, and you go out and you just get slaughtered by Von Gittin.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, or Forsberg or Turk or any of those guys.
Because I felt like I would go to Formula Drift New Jersey, which, by the way, if you haven't watched those videos, please watch those. But shameless plug. But you would notice that some guys would go out there and just get absolutely annihilated, and you're like, maybe they're just not feeling it that day, or maybe they're just new. And then you realize, yeah, it's like their first competition, you know, in that level, and there was no middle step. So you go into something so drastic, and it's just with Vaughn, and like the whole lineup last night at the end of FD was legends. Like Ishihara, Gittin Jr., Turek's car broke, unfortunately. Forsberg. They're all driving great. I mean, last night was a very tough call.
The top 3 was the original guys from 2004 that started the first Formula
which
Drift.
Was so cool. But I will say though that regardless of who likes him and doesn't like him, Vaughn was killing it. I mean, his entry speeds were ridiculous. But unfortunately, speaking of drifting, your 2J seems to be throwing belts, right?
Oh yeah, I have a 95 S14 that I've been kind of building up on my channel for like the past 3 years or so, and I was LS, you know, LS1. I kind of went back to a truck motor, kind of back and forth, couple random versions of it for like the past 3 years or so, and then just recently I decided I wanted to bring the noise with the 2J, and swapped over to that. So I have a bone stock 2J VVTi. It's the GTE, so it has factory twin turbos and stuff. Basically same exact engine that David's putting in his, with the, you know, the really bad, you know, ceramic turbos or supposedly the ones. But I have the boost turned up a little bit, but I was having a lot of issues throwing the serpentine belt, which is just a 2J issue, and so yeah, I got it fixed. I got some new parts on there, you know, a stronger bracket and a tensioner lockout, and went to one event in Colorado, and then didn't have any issues with it at all. Went out to the Pro-Am event, which was last week or 2 weeks ago. Went to that, and you know, was initiating, you know, towards a wall basically, and you know, I got, you know, 10 or 12 practice runs in, and was finally, you know, starting to push it on the course, and initiated a little bit later and clutch kicked a little bit harder, and I mean, the serpentine belt flew off, lost all power steering, basically understeered, like kind of right into the wall.
Oh no.
So there it is before, and then there's 5 minutes later.
Oh, pain and suffering.
Hopefully you guys can see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what happened. So I'm gonna be rebuilding that here shortly.
Yeah.
And it didn't really, it kind of pushed up the, you know, like the bottom frame rail where the fender mounts, but it seems like all the suspension geometry didn't push over the strut tower or anything. It broke off the coilover and bent all the suspension arms, which is exactly what it needed to do.
Yeah.
You know, it needed to absorb the impact, not transfer it through to the rest of the car.
Yeah, so you're okay.
And yeah, my neck was a little bit sore the next day.
I believe it, man.
Yeah, it sucked. At the track, I actually got the car fixed. There was a guy, he was, you know, started talking to people about parts and stuff, seeing if I could find some stuff, and he's like, I got a car 5 minutes away. So he literally like drove to his house, grabbed his car, brought it there. I tore my whole car apart and put his parts and everything back on it. My radiator had a hole in it. My buddy, that was with me, he went and got a new serpentine belt, got some JB Weld.
Crazy.
And
JB Weld.
Got everything all off and ready to pretty much just start putting it back together when everything showed up. Put it all back on, and then I was about like 10 minutes late for the qualifying. So I missed, you know, I'd only been able to get one qualifying run, but You know, it sucks you drive that far to go.
Yeah.
You know, attempt to qualify.
Yeah,
and
all
kinda
the way there.
See how you stack up against everybody, and you know, unfortunate things happen. But that's the name of the game.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, we saw people in the pros breaking left and right. It's
Oh,
just part of it. I mean, we saw Turk's brand new come out car get trailered away, and we're like, golly, that has to be so tough.
Yeah, Turk's car hit like that anti-lag.
Yeah.
And it just shot out like a 5-foot flame from underneath it. It was like,
Yeah, because he has like open downpipe basically, or mid pipe, and it just nuts.
And then it just turned off, and then that was it.
Morgan here, you had a BMW before, right?
Yeah.
And what's just funny, because when I came down here to look around at houses, we were at the same car meet at one point, and he just didn't know, because I was low-key incognito. I put a hood on and everything because I was cold. It was freezing that night.
It was. Holy
freezing.
crap. I was in my car like 85% of the
Yeah,
time.
I got back into my
Yeah.
bud's Chris's car,
that-
and I was just
that
like, no.
guy.
How do you like your WRX?
Oh, it's so much fun. Compared to the BMW had like 100 horsepower on it,
Yeah.
and it didn't weigh much more, but it wasn't manual, and it was just, it felt like a tank. It felt like the car drove itself. And the WRX, like, if you want to have fun, you just shift floor, you're back in the seat, and you're just grinning all the way.
Well, that's the good thing about Turbo 4s is they punch you really, really hard. Even if you're at lower horsepower, it feels fast.
Yeah.
And because yours was an E92,
Yeah.
and you had a big old wing on it.
Had a big old eBay carbon fiber wing just to piss all the BMW guys off. And boy, did it work.
Boy.
Every time, like once a week when I drove that car, I'd go on the BMW page and someone would have snapped a picture, and there's like 200 comments in like 20 minutes of people just flaming. So
Well, your WRX, which is kind of cool, has the JDM motor, right?
Yeah,
the
JDM motor
2.0
and turbo. Yeah.
Yeah, and but unfortunately, when you first got it,
The guy that originally had the car figured he could do it himself, and apparently doesn't know what Google is. So when you swap a JDM motor into a USDM WRX, it has what's called APCS in that year's, and the USDM one for that year's doesn't use it. The ECU doesn't know what it's doing. So unless you swap out the camshafts, the cam gears, and the crank gears, it will just pour out oil like no tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And it screwed up my camshafts, cam gears, crank gears, timing belt, idler pulley, tensioner pulley.
the motor.
It went in my down pipe, or no, up pipe, screwed up my turbo. After I fixed it all, didn't know the turbo was broken, and boosted up to 18 PSI, and after 1,000 RPMs it dropped to like 6 and 9.
Oh my God,
Dude, so I had to swap that out.
Boy.
Yeah, I figured you know what, while we're at it, just throw all this stuff on, just get it done.
There comes to a point in a build where you just have to say,
Yeah.
replace everything.
Just here's a blank check. Just
Yeah. Trevor went by and saw the 240. Now you probably understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's coming along though. It's looking really good.
Yeah. Only it's just every time I go in though, we get something done. But
Yeah.
only reason we didn't get anything done when we visited was because we didn't have the part.
Yeah, they didn't send.
Yeah, the parts.
Didn't they send you the wrong ones too?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like I got my new steering rack and pinion.
Yeah.
No bushings. You can't install it.
Getting
new
close though.
bushings and another rack and pinion too, or something. In the mail.
No, all I had to do was order bushings, which is good. But you know, it's still just one step away.
Yeah.
Like especially like right now at this moment, my 240 is like that close to being done with chassis reinforcement. It's tie rods, outer tie rods, excuse me, the bushings, which I got energy bushings from Majuku, and then after that it's more of the fun stuff. You know, starting to mess with the wiring a little bit, which
Putting the engine in there, that's gonna be the
that's
best.
gonna be fun.
That's the most satisfying thing actually.
Yeah,
to see it sitting in
physically sitting in
Yeah.
there, and you know, my car's been a turd, and it'll be good to see that it'll actually be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just some shell that
Yeah.
I overpaid for, and like it's a double-edged sword. You know, it's like, man, I overpaid for my shell and I got a crap shell, but you can see that with a lot of hard work
there. Yeah.
and a budget, you can make something like awesome.
Yeah, it's almost too nice though.
It's almost too nice now.
Like it really is. Like the paint job on it is like awesome. Paint, like
Thanks,
the body,
man.
like everything underneath is super clean and like new. And they took like the subframe out, cleaned all the grease and everything off it, repainted it.
Wasn't that part pretty mind blowing?
Yeah.
Like that was like holy crap.
Yeah,
like
and
seeing the
it's got
subframe.
like new bushings, new like ball joints, outer tie rods, like inner tie rods, the racks rebuilt. I mean all the little little things that makes a car feel good and like look new underneath.
Well, I just like at what point do you stop?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you can relate. I'm sure you're Datsun, for example. Like I'm sure you're like, well, it's already starting to become nice.
Yep.
Let's make it really nice.
Yeah.
Like imagine my car with like only the nice paint job and then everything else was just crap.
Everything else was
like I couldn't imagine be like, check out my engine bay, and it's like gross.
Yeah, it's all neglected
and greased up and like I can't do it. A few more things left. I had to find fuse boxes, which is actually way harder than it sounds, and then I gotta find the windshield cowl.
Because what fuse boxes do you need?
Just the S13 stock ones.
Really? I swear I have like a box of those. Like I literally have like from gutting cars and
best
stuff.
Friends forever.
Yeah, exactly. I think I might have a windshield cowl too.
Okay. Oh, dude, that'd be amazing. I can't find them anywhere.
I'll just fold it in half and send it to you.
Just please. Oh my God, that's amazing. I am so happy right now. Nothing can stop me. Anyway,
other than the plastic on your Mustang exhaust.
Oh,
too soon.
Okay, one more story and then we're done. All right, so I got my Mustang back. It made great power. They've both ridden in it now. What do you guys think?
That's awesome.
Wow.
It's like buttery smooth.
Yeah, it's not scary at all. It just goes. And we were having a good time. We're going to Formula Drift, and we got on an exit ramp, merge down to I-85 here in Atlanta, and there's a car adjacent to me about right here, probably a nose right next to me, and there's this big giant plastic tarp. It looks like something that would be like around a mattress.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to like cut them off, but I don't really care. It's probably just gonna go right under me.
Yeah, you don't want to swerve in the ditch either.
Right.
It was just like right in the middle.
Like there's really no way around it for the most part. So I go over it, and it doesn't go under me. So, or it decides, wow, I really like this new X-Pipe. Let me hug it.
And it's just like,
yeah, let's just hug it. And my X-Pipe melted the plastic, and it stuck to my car. And so we spent pretty much all yesterday morning getting most of it off, but it basically melted and then baked and created like a snake skin around the X-Pipe. It's
thick
like
one too, like a stupid.
It's like
one.
You got the exhaust in the mail and you just never unwrapped it and you bolted it up. Yeah, like you're just like, screw it, this looks cool. But yeah, so that's unfortunate. But so now every time my car idles, it smells like plastic.
Yeah.
So thank you, Trevor, for coming out to Atlanta.
Yeah, thanks for picking me up.
And thanks for tagging along, Morgan.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. Sorry for my hoarse voice. You guys saw me talk a lot of Formula Drift, so it's pretty much gone. And everybody have a great day. See you guys next time.
Later.
Yeah.